Hey guys, welcome back to Darth Snooger's Toy Reviews. Today I wanted to go through the Netflix CG series figures. I just finished season 3 of the show, and if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. It's great. They do a great job of expanding the line and bringing in more characters. It's got a great story to it. So I wanted to show the figures because there's a lot of them that I have that have not appeared on this channel yet. So I thought we'd just kind of do a run through and I'll bring in some and we'll just kind of build out the line and you can kind of see them all together. So first we'll start with, we've got our first version of He-Man and our first version of Skeletor. And then over here on the right we have our Man-at-Arms, and then all the way to the left we have our Powers of Grayskull version of He-Man, which is translucent, which is a pretty nice figure. It's a little odd because of the coloring. We don't really see this version of He-Man in the show, but it's a nice variant figure to have in your collection. Next up, we've got Man-at-Arms' old boss, Cronus, aka Trapjaw. We have Evil-Lyn. We've got our Sorceress. And then we've got Crass, aka Ram-Mam, which builds out the line quite a bit. Next we're going to bring in, let's bring in Ork-O. We're going to bring in our Cringer Battle Cat. And then let's bring in his nemesis, good old Beastman, which Beastman is actually one of the deluxe figures. And as you can tell, he's rather large. Now on the flip side of that, when they released that deluxe Beastman, we also got this deluxe version of He-Man. And he is wearing the Grayskull armor, which, if you've watched Season 3, you'll recognize this armor as the armor that belonged to King Grayskull, which that's a big plot line in the series. So that's interesting that we got this figure so far in advance of Season 3. We also got Tri-Klops, which if you've seen the previous video where I did on that, is speculating how this figure was going to appear in the show, and it was completely off. Not to spoil it, but Tri-Klops is it's a very different take on that character. We also have our Prince Adam. One of my favorites. We've got Manny Faces, who has the flipping face, which is really cool. We'll scoot some of these back so we can bring some more in. We've got Stratos. Mo-Squit'Ra. So this builds out all the different characters that we have so far. There are other figures. So let me scoot some of these back, and I'm going to bring in some more of these variants that we have. We've got some more of He-Man and Skeletor. I wanted to try to keep everybody in the video as much as I can, so let's adjust these around a little bit. Some of these figures are very large. Now, I only collect the 5.5 inch scale figures. I don't collect the 8.5 inch figures. I don't see the need to have both. Although some of those are pretty neat. I would like to have the large scale version of Trapjaw. Definitely. Alright, so there was a Walmart exclusive set that had He-Man, and of course Skeletor. Let me get He-Man to actually stand. Now, this Walmart exclusive set was packaged as Battle for Eternia. So you've got these variants of He-Man and Skeletor, and then you also have a drone that comes with it. So we'll just set that down in the front. I don't recall exactly what the purpose of the drone was. I think it's just supposed to represent some of those drones we saw in that very first episode when Adam becomes He-Man. But yeah, this is a nice 2-pack. As you can see, you've got some different Art Deco on the arms showing him powering up. And of course you see Skeletor's Havoc coming through, and he has that translucent version arm, which is pretty neat. We're going to move these off to the side and shift some more of these back. Now, I've already showed the Skeletor and Pain Throw in the previous video, but what I haven't brought in would be the He-Man and Ground Ripper, which is his version of a motorcycle for the show. They don't show this on the show. Now I will say that it doesn't appear in the series, but I guess since they gave Skeletor a motorcycle for the toy line, they felt the need to give He-Man one as well, and that's okay. It's fun. You don't necessarily have to have everything in the toy line appear on the series. I mean, we learned that with the vintage line. So yeah, so that's the He-Man, and of course here's the Skeletor on the Pain Throw, his version motorcycle. Now what's interesting is this vehicle does appear in the series, but it's a little different. It's, you know, overall it appears the same, except that it doesn't have just standard wheels. The wheels turned sideways and it spins and it flies, and it's just a really weird vehicle, but looks neat on the series. So let me rearrange these and let's get a group shot of all these together. Okay, so now we have a group shot of all of them together. And this represents all the characters that have been released so far in the line. There are a couple variants that I do not have yet. There's vehicle sets with Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Trapjaw that has variant colors of those figures. Do not have those yet. I will be trying to get those soon. And of course, we've seen the announcement for that Castle Grayskull. We actually seen the demo, I believe at PowerCon. Then there's also the new Talon Fighter that's coming that we've seen the images and stuff for, which is really nice. So yeah, I'd like to have all those along with this collection. Now, I know that I'd seen somewhere where they were showing the new Merman that's going to be released for this line. I'm looking forward to that one because, not to spoil anything, but he does appear in Season 3. So keep your eye out for that. The voice casting for it is fantastic. So yeah, so there's a few that I'm really hoping that we do get to see. And I'll talk a little more about it. So if you don't want to know any spoilers about Season 3, this is your spoiler alert. But yeah, well, from here on out, I am going to discuss some things from Season 3. So we've been warned. So number one, and this isn't really so much a spoiler, I want Rampage. I want the Havoc powered version of Ram Mam, the Rampage version. I think that would be a cool figure to have in the line. I'd also like to see an Eldris figure. Another thing that I think would be fun is if we got the Justine version of Tri-Klops. That would make much more sense than the version that we actually got released in the toy line, and I think that figure was a misdirection, just to throw us off, or what they were going to actually do with Tri-Klops, which it's funny, but yeah, and of course, Merman and maybe some Merfolk as army builders. I would love to see the original version of Ork-O. We do get to see him in season 3, and they do a great job with the interaction between our robot Ork-O and the original Ork-O, whose memories he has. Another figure I think that would make sense in this line is King Randor. He's a big part of season 3. He has some good moments. Why not? And I will say this: we got a Prince Adam, but how come we don't have a standard Crass or standard Duncan or standard Tila? We should have their non-powered versions as well, since this is a team thing. Unlike the original versions of Masters Universe, where He-Man's the one that got the power, they are the Masters of the Universe. They share the power together, so they have alternate versions. So let's see their non-powered versions. I think those will be fun figures to have. And the same thing goes for Evil-Lyn and Cronus. You know, Evil-Lyn, I should say. Yeah, give us an Evil-Lyn and give us a Cronus, because I certainly think that Cronus would be a good action figure. Now, what I really found interesting in season 3, and this is kind of, I mean, it's a spoiler, but it's not really necessarily related to the toys. But I keep thinking back to when the series came out and we found out that Duncan was going to be a teenager. We're like, well, how does Duncan going to fit into the storyline? Because he's supposed to be Tila's adoptive father. Well, guess what? They rewrote the story. Now it's Manny Faces. So we get to see in season 3 Manny Faces taking Tila as a toddler and becoming her adoptive father. So that was a really cool thing to see in the show. Another figure I want to see, Skelebeast. Yeah, so you watch the series all the way through. That's a creepy look. The Skelebeast that we got. Now we know we're getting the new Skeletor, which is the Skeletor Reborn, which that's a cool looking figure. And what they do with Skeletor in the series is they do so much better with this content, with this IP, with this franchise, than what the other animated Netflix series did. And it's funny as they actually take a they take a shot at them in one scene in the show. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a funny moment. And if you watch the other Netflix, the Revelation series, you'll want to see this episode specifically for what they do to make fun of that version. And I guess that's okay. Netflix has the rights to both, so they can use them however they want. One last figure I can think of that I think would be cool. Give us a standard Cringer. I love the character Cringer and what they've done with him on the show, and I think that would be a cool figure to have. Alright, so that's going to be my thoughts on this. I just wanted to share these figures with you and discuss Season 3. What do you guys think? Have you watched the show? Are you caught up? How do you think the show is going to continue? I mean, we did get that big moment at the end with Hordak. Obviously, we'll end up with a Hordak figure. That's a no-brainer. You got to have Hordak. Ooh, one more figure we could get. And this will make sense if you saw the end of Season 3. Give us a Keldor. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Again, I appreciate you guys sticking around. You have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.